Okay, I'd like to call the Plan Commission meeting to order on Monday, November 20th, 2023 at 6 p.m. Can you please take roll call?
Bertle,
Here.
Bell,
Here.
Shampo. Is she absent or excused?
Absent.
Okay. Gretzmacher,
Excused.
okay, King.
Here.
And Harth. Here.
Is there a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Motion by Bell,
Second.
second by Kane. All those in favor respond with an aye. Aye. Carried. Approval of the October 24th, 2023 minutes. I had a couple clarifications.
If you can hold on, we're getting some feedback from this.
They'll be on page 6. Line 22, the commission members indicated that they would prefer to see cool white light bulbs. Is that what we really said?
No, it's one.
It's warm white. That's what I thought. And then I think it's I thought it was listed someplace else, but maybe that might be in the
And I think it
in the
was
board packet or something.
3000 K, not 3000 lumens, because you're talking about color
Right.
temperature, not intensity.
Right. So I would like to change that then. Did anybody else have anything?
So that was both the warm, cool to warm, and the 3000 lumens to K.
Yep.
Good.
Is there a motion to approve as amended?
I make that motion.
Motion by Bell,
Second.
second by Kane. All those in favor respond with an aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, carried. Comments, correspondence, and concerns from the public. Is there anybody joining us tonight that would like to address the Plan Commission? Okay, we must be doing a good job. As a member of the Plan Commission, I would like to make a comment. It was a couple of months ago when we gave the Door Hotel 30 days to remove their sign. We had a lot of conversation about that. Nate said the 30 days was okay because we would be meeting again in that 30-day time period. And I drove past there tonight and the sign is still up. So I guess I would like to either talk about directives later on in the meeting, if it's appropriate, and latent, I'm gonna choose a word, that it hasn't been removed yet.
So that would be for. Do we even have items for the next? Guess we do it under a next meeting.
All right, item number 6, public hearing, discussion and possible action. Ordinance 2023-14, chapter 66, mobile food vendor courts and festival permits. Julie, do you wanna?
Sure, so just a quick summary, the village board had adopted mobile food vendor court regulations this past year. And, we recently had an application for such a court and we realized there's some things that didn't work. So with any ordinance, you tweak it as you go until you get something that really works for everybody or is something that you think is in the village's best interest. So there were some changes that the Plan Commission saw. So they are subject of this public hearing. And depending what happens tonight, we will make a recommendation to the board or maybe not. So I'm just gonna go through those changes real quick. I do have to let you know, I don't know why, but when I sent the document to be included in the packet, it reverted and you see a lot of red. That's not what's changing. What's changing, what's proposed to be changed is actually in orange. So, and we do know we have a typo at the top of the page. So I'm just gonna go through real quick. The changes that are proposed would be to allow private access onto a property by a 3/4 majority vote of the plan commission. And, to allow parking and driving areas, to be paved. And moving over to J, that the mobile food vendor court operator shall make provisions for the on-site disposal of the vendor's gray water. That is something we missed, was addressing how they were gonna get rid of the gray water. And P, when we first drafted it, we didn't even think about generators. So it is to add language that says, except for a backup generator, only one generator is allowed on site. The backup generator shall not exceed 70 dBA. And other than for emergency purposes, may generate power only for test purposes. All testing shall be during normal business hours. And T, we had limited how long a unit could be stored on site. And we, at that time, debated back and forth on the time limit. We set it at 18. And the vendors are saying, look, you know, sometimes we're closed on Sundays. We need more than 18 hours. So the decision was to propose that be changed to 36 hours. Along with the mobile food vendor court changes, we are also proposing an amendment to the definition of festival permit to allow the Historical Society Chris Crindle Market to have the same privileges that events at the public parks do. And that is to say that they can have food trucks and tents, and they do not need special approvals from the village in order to do that for that one event. And that is basically what the public hearing is about. Those are the changes that are proposed.
Okay, at 6:07, I'll open the public hearing. And is there anybody joining us tonight that would like to speak for or against the changes that are being proposed? Yes, way in the back.
At the last meeting, about the food court, was some discussion about how many parking spaces you needed for customers and employees and all that. And I checked out 3 long-standing truck type food places in southeast Wisconsin where we live. And they're basically at gas stations. And a couple things that I found out was they don't drive the food truck back and forth anywhere because it gets terrible mileage. So we're saying 8 miles per gallon, so therefore the employees drive where the food truck is. And the 3 places I looked at, they had between 2 and 3 employees per truck. So if that helps you. And apparently it's not always the same people too, they alternate or some are part-time, something like that. I guess when I look at the site that they're proposing, one of the things that got to me is the things get really popular and you really have a lot of cars there. Are they going to spill over into the Biggs parking lot and start taking away parking from that place?
Can you state your name and address for the record?
Steve Musinski, 10519 Fieldcrest Road.
Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm Joe Fox. I'm the president of the board of the COA at the Birchwood Lodge, which is located contiguous to the site that's being considered right now. I spoke in October at the meeting and brought up some concerns and issues that I had. My address, by the way, would be locally the Birchwood Lodge Unit B4 is the unit I own. I live in Mequon, Wisconsin otherwise. I'd just like to, I know tonight we're not talking about the issues that we have with the details. Those were talked about last time. Some of the adjustments were made to modify or moderate those. I want to talk in the bigger picture tonight about the changes that are being proposed to the ordinances. And by the way, they're not all here in the letter that was sent out to us. There is no letter P. There are no other adjustments, and there's a few things that weren't talked about, including those customer parking stalls. In any case, my I'm looking more big picture, and I think that's what you're talking about tonight, because you're looking at making changes to ordinances. The ordinances, and I've read quite carefully, your statements that you made at the beginning of your ordinances online. And they talk about, a number of really important concepts that you're trying to, achieve. Balances between this and balances between that and so on. One of the things that you talk about is to ensure the continuity of the look, feel, and integration of new development with existing developments, including the existing community, businesses, residences, traffic flow, and so on. In my estimation, the changes that are being proposed here, either changes that now offer wider latitude, or in some cases allow for the disregarding of the ordinances that were just approved back in April, are the antithesis of trying to integrate the new development with current and already existing businesses, residences, traffic flow, integration, and so on. As someone who owns and represents the properties that are contiguous to that, I can tell you we've made our points quite clear about what the concerns are, and those concerns are not addressed by minor changes to knocking down the decibels on a generator. They're not addressed by putting a brand new roadway in right next to the units into the land that we own and has been developed for over 20 years already. That's number one. The number two thing that I'm concerned about, and this is a big part of what ordinances are about, and you stated in your materials, public safety, looking out for public safety. In that regard, the original ordinances that you put together strictly forbade having any new roads or private roads, do access points or egress points onto streets, and that it ensured parking in certain ways that met the current rules and regulations and ordinances of the village of Sister Bay. None of these will be achieved with the changes that you're proposing and the possibility of adopting this proposal, which has a new private road, a new access point. The access point is on a curved and a busy road that is within 100 yards of 5 other access and egress points, all on the same plane. The parking, which we can argue whether or not parking for 4 parking spaces per food truck should include employees or not. The bigger issue is that the current ordinances for the village of Sister Bay say that parking has to be done in a way that doesn't require backing out into roadways. And this requires backing out on both sides of this into roadways, one of which is an existing roadway and is used by the Piggly Wiggly as its main delivery route for trucks, for all sorts of delivery vehicles. And I think this is a public safety hazard without question. The point I tried to make last time is that I have no qualms with food trucks. I don't even know if I have qualms with food truck courts. But shoehorning this into that tiny little space where you don't have the proper room to allot the parking, the appropriate parking, where you don't back in and out onto roads, where there doesn't have to be a new roadway with access and egress granted onto Country Walk Drive, that would be something we could think about. But this meets none of those standards and is an ill-defined and poor fit for the space that's available there. And with that, thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to tell you. And let me just finish by saying, as someone who served communities on volunteer boards, community organizations, serving at the Birchwood as a volunteer, as the president of our board, which is not a thankful task, maybe thankless. I just want to say, I know how hard you guys work and how much you do, and that you've got the right ideas in mind. I just think this is a proposal seeking variances and changes that simply is not worth pursuing or to trade off these important community and integration and safety issues for. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fox. I'd like to make a couple of comments.
Sure.
Pertaining to your statement. I don't perceive it as a new road, it's a driveway. And whether the food truck court is approved next month or whenever they come back or not, anybody who would develop that property would be allowed to put in a driveway to access that parcel. So I look at it a little differently. It's not a thoroughfare, it's an internal driveway that has parking in the same way that the whole Piggly Wiggly lot. It's not a roadway, it's not named. And so I hear what you said. I tend to disagree. So I thought I would share that.
Before we go on, Denise, with more testimony, I just want to remind everybody, the public hearing is about the text amendments and not about any particular property. We don't want to get in trouble discussing a property or treating it as a public hearing if it hasn't been noticed as such, or with the property owner here to answer some of those questions. So keep in mind, comments have to be restricted to the text amendments that are being proposed.
I agree, and my comments were all about that, so, and they were looking at the intent of those changes and the intent of the original policy, which, by the way, also had some information about green area buffer zones between the new development and the existing developments that, well, I'll come show you where the street's gonna be and where my back porch is.
Again, that's about specific property. We have to watch.
Which is
it
why
so
I'm
we don't
talking
get into
about
trouble.
the policy, not this particular one.
Thank you.
But thank you, appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
My name is Roman Polak. I live at the 10534 Cherrywood Court in Sister Bay. I have a question. Last time when there were representatives of the different food trucks, they said it would be financially feasible for them if there is around 1,000 customers coming during the day on the lot, so they are making their ends meet. Has there been any public safety or a road safety study done? If there is this much traffic coming to those food trucks, 1,000 people a day, how it's going to affect that whole area and the congestion? There is a school bus stop or anything like that?
No, a traffic study has not been done and has not been requested from this committee.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Just maybe a point of order, you guys are gonna take in all the comments tonight. And I'm assuming, I know you take good notes, these are being recorded. What's the next step in the process for these changes? And you don't even talk about the proposal, how does this move forward from here? If you decide to adopt the changes or to modify or not adopt them, what's the timeline and what happens next?
Sure. It would be, we would make a recommendation to approve the changes as presented or amended. If somebody wanted to change something in here that didn't seem quite right to them, and it would go to the village board. Is it on tomorrow night's agenda?
No, it's in December, the 19th, I think.
But you could tonight decide to, after the public comment, you could say, well, we feel comfortable, let's go ahead and vote to approve these changes and we'll take it to the board for their next meeting then.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. No one else has anything else to say. I'll close the public hearing at 6:19. Any discussion from our commission members on the comments that have been made and the words on the paper?
I think I'm comfortable with these changes. One thing I wonder about, and I don't think there's a better language for it, but something that, just to, on the generator language, you're saying emergency purposes, I guess that'd be a question for you, Julie, with emergency purposes, that just means a power outage, that the common sense definition.
Right.
Okay.
We don't have it defined. I think it's kind of, there's a fire, there's a power outage.
I asked you because you're the one who gets to,
Yeah.
so,
I have to interpret it.
yeah, you have to interpret it, so.
Nothing else? Okay. Then, motion would be in order.
I move that we recommend them to the village board
As presented.
as presented.
Okay, motion by Kane,
I'll second.
second by Bell. Any further discussion? All those in favor respond with an aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, item number 7, development.
Madam Chairman, just for decorum purposes, if some of us aren't interested in the rest of you, you wouldn't mind if we left, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, no, and I want to ask if it's not.
That's
nice to
very
walk out
kind
the
of
street.
you. Most people leave after
Kind of like
their
there's no
agenda
standing
is
ovation,
over.
I wonder why or something. Thank you, board, I appreciate your taking the time.
That's the first time that's been asked.
It has been. Yeah, I got a lot of years under my belt and it is the first time.
I had good parents who raised me right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Development agreement, trade and contractor establishment on 342, 1 lot west of 2613 South Bay Shore Drive, Wolf Brothers.
Okay, so we did review this, at the last meeting, and we did ask for some changes to be made, which, they have made to the site plan. They were, that was also incorporated into the proposed development agreement. And those are have been attached for you to review. They're at the end of the plans that they had submitted. If inclined to approve, the main things we need to include in that development agreement are, just like we did with Beacon Marine, that there has to be that condition, so patrons know to stop for the trail. That's in the draft. The other key thing is the owner needs a final stormwater plan prior to approval of the development agreement. We typically do that, just saying, hey, we're okay with this, but nothing's gonna be signed until the engineer actually approves those plans. And then just that condition we put on most of these type of development agreements, and that are, so the owner is very clear, this does not approve a sign, doesn't give any guarantee for a sign. It's all, like I said, it reflects what we had talked about. I did want to make one change, and that is finally found out Cap's real name, and that is Thomas. So we would have to change the development agreement to say Thomas instead of Cap. So other than that, I have nothing else to add that was not in the packet.
Okay, so this is where I said that there was another place that, on page 17 in Julie's report, where it talked about cool white bulbs that produce no more than 3,000 lumens. But then in the next paragraph, it says soft white and 3,000 K.
Yeah, and Craig had brought that up to me too. I know when I was doing the staff report, I was going off the minutes, but I think the development agreement actually talks about soft white and 300 K.
3,000.
3,000, I'm sorry.
And that's what we have spec'd in.
So let me just double check on the staff report, okay? No, I'm sorry, development. So the development agreement would need to be changed. So the development agreement did take the minutes. The development agreement just has to be changed to say 3,000 K. Yeah, it says soft white and then 3,000 lumens. It has to say 3,000 K.
One of the questions that I have, that the landscaping plan has been revised to eliminate the box elders and instead plant emerald petite cedars between the maples. Any particular reason?
That was a request from the board.
We
Yeah.
requested evergreens. be
Oh,
planted
just
between them-
evergreens. Oh,
Yeah,
between the
Okay.
maples.
That's what we chose.
Cap, were you okay with the December 20th, 2025 date that was in that development agreement?
To be, what is it, to be substantially completed, is that
To
what?
be completed by the December of 2025, do you think you can do it in 2 years?
Surely hope so. Certainly, hope to have it done long before then.
One thing I did add to the development agreement that we didn't have in there in the past, and I had brought it up in the staff report is. Just to add the part that says the developer will have sole responsibility for cleaning up debris that has blown from the building under construction. The developer and or subject contractor shall clean up the debris within 4 hours after receiving a notice from the village. We are running into a lot of problems with garbage blowing around the village, and constantly we're getting calls, constantly we're contacting the property owners, hey, you gotta have somebody go out there and pick up your garbage. So gonna start including that in the development agreements unless somebody has an objection. So it's very clear, you're responsible for your own garbage. Nobody's gonna pick it up and,
I
it got
Must
out
be
of hand.
timely.
Yeah, it got out of hand with this summer.
I appreciate the 4 hours, but that might be a little bit much. I would say 1 business day might be more realistic, but then again,
It's not though, when it's windy and people are calling and you're getting call after call, and what ends up happening is village staff ends up going out and picking up garbage. And I'm sorry, but the developer should be responsible for their own garbage.
do we want to put something in there, or we'll have, if they don't, what's the teeth to it?
We start issuing littering citations. They're violating their development agreement.
Okay.
I mean, we had one where they had one neighbor collected, I think he said 7 4x8 sheets of insulation. Because stuff just blows away and people are letting it blow,
And then
and we can't have it.
they never claimed it. I heard about that last.
Yeah,
Yeah, those are like $50 a sheet.
Yeah,
yeah.
So also on the landscaping plan on page 35, you have, spirea bushes. Did you have a specific one chosen?
No, we can. No. It's just generic.
Because they run the gamut of colors and sizes.
Would you guys have a preference?
He would like to know what preference you have.
Pink?
You have a lot of pink going on, which I have no problem with. Those were the only 2 silly questions I had. Otherwise, I think it looks good.
So if we're okay with it, making those changes to.
Well, don't we have to do the project and then the development?
No, so this one's site plan review. We went through all the site plan review. We did that for the last 2 meetings, and then.
So this is just landscaping.
Well, at the last meeting, we decided to send the development agreement forward to this meeting.
Right.
So it has the site plan in here, the building plans, everything we need. So,
So how about if you do a motion to approve all those plans and recommend that the board approve the development agreement? Would that work?
well, I
Cause you
think,
don't have a motion to approve any of the plans yet. I checked on that.
you can do it that way. To me, when you're recommending approval of the development agreement, which says the development agreement says it's the plans that you reviewed and approved at this meeting, but if you want to go through them individually, we can do that as well and approve like site plan, lighting plan that way.
Yes,
that what you're wondering?
that's the
Okay.
way we usually have
Yeah.
done it. We approve the site plan, the landscaping plan, the lighting plan, the grading plan, the drainage plan.
So can I read you what I've got?
We
yes,
bundled
please.
those together, like
Yeah,
the
right,
you haven't
plans, but
done
not
that
the,
since I've
but the
been
development agreement has always been separate.
That the plan commission approves the site plan, the engineering notes, the foundation plan, the parking plan, the floor plans, the elevation drawings, and the revised lighting and landscaping plans that were submitted by Ludwig Thomas Wolf. Now, for the new building he would like to construct on the property located one lot west of 2613 South Bay Shore Drive, and recommends that the village board approve the development
No,
agreement. Take that out.
Take that out, separate
Okay,
motion.
separate one, okay.
Yeah.
As presented
Separate.
then.
So is there, what Janelle read, a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Bell, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Kane, all those in favor respond with an aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Okay, now is there a motion to approve the development agreement as presented and amended?
So move.
Motion by Kane,
Second.
second by Bell, all those in favor respond with an aye. Aye, opposed, carried.
Doing a good job here, Nate.
So that
Okay.
is on the agenda, board's agenda for tomorrow, but we are gonna have to make some amendments before they look at it tomorrow. So,
You need my signature on that before it goes?
No.
Item number 7B, development agreement, residential condominium, Sister Bluff Drive, one lot north of 2428 South Bay Shore Drive, coming of age in Sister Bay.
So coming of age, just like Wolf Brothers, we had reviewed the site plan last month, told them some things we wanted to change. And then have the development agreement for us if we're ready to move forward with that. So the main things were, we requested a shared driveway and that driveway not exceed 24 feet in width. And to minimize the view from the road, we had wanted more tree plantings along Sister Bluff Road to shield the buildings. And we wanted floor plans to reflect that if bonus rooms are to be finished off, the plans be labeled for that use to avoid conversion to a different use at a later date.
But that wasn't really done, was it?
I'll let them explain that. I did not see it in the plans when I looked at them, but I know Garrett had mentioned that it was on there. I don't see it on there. I did put it in the development agreement. I addressed it as a condition to make sure it's very clear that, they cannot be converted without permits.
Because on page 88, it says potential bonus room. Number 201, and then the other one doesn't have a number.
Right, but it's only showing us 2 units, it's not showing us all 4, so. Cause they had wanted potential bonus rooms in 2 of them. And then 2 would not have them, but we don't have plans for 4, we only have plans for 2.
Essentially, Denise, the building plan says provided is one building is carbon copy building. So one building, 2 units will have bonus rooms, the other building, 2 units will not.
So to address that, I did put that as a condition in the development agreement where it says. Developer agrees the bonus rooms above the garages in 2 of the units shall not be converted for living space and shall not be used for sleeping purposes prior to approval of the plan commission, meaning they cannot convert them unless they come back to the planning commission. In 2 of the units, 2 of the 4.
Okay.
And. Okay, so then the other thing I have is Garrett brought to my attention 2 typos in there, which were good catches. One was on page 4, let's see here, on page 4 of the agreement.
For page 95 of the packet.
Yes, page 95, at the very, very top, you'll see number 1 and 2. Furthermore, developer. There's nothing there, that has to be deleted. The very first line.
100% of such costs?
Go after that, go to the end of the sentence where there's a period.
Oh, got it.
Furthermore, developers, so that
Okay.
has to be deleted. And then he did catch as well on the signature page. which is 13 of the agreement. Which is page 104 in the packet. It talks about the above named Cap Wolf on behalf of Harbor Place.
Oh,
So it has to be changed here. So I had to write in the other drafts, but this one, I missed it, so.
We're sure they're lovely people, but they're not us.
The other thing that, Garrett had contacted me about is on page 2 of the agreement, which is page
93.
93 in the packet. On letter I, or I'm sorry, number I. It says the property is not approved for use as a short-term rental. A rental stay shall be in excess of 30 days. He wants added a line that says, notwithstanding the foregoing, developer or its successors in interest may apply for the property to be used as a short-term rental, provided all village short-term rental ordinances are complied with. And that's what I.
So we've been talking about this for a year, maybe longer, a while. And I think we talked about short-term rentals very early on. And your family indicated from my recollection that when you wanted the more buildings, that you'd have a big family, everybody wanted their own unit, and then you had some friends, you know, that went as long as you were doing this, that they wanted to buy them too, that it was never your intention to be short-term rentals. We have too many short-term rentals in the village, and
Can we explain that? Because we know it's a hot button issue. There's no, like you said, it's been a year. And we mean it. We're all here again. We said this is about family. That's not a joke. Keep in mind when we even started this, I think to your point, Denise, they weren't even allowed to stop us because that wasn't a push and it still isn't a push. One though wants to preserve the what ifs of life, what happens down the road. We're not applying for it today. We're not applying for it tomorrow. We're saying that here and we mean that. But what if in the future? I don't know. These will eventually be owned by individual owners. The coming of age is the holding company that we created to hold the property for liability purposes. If anyone owner now in the future wants to, what we hope this is a compromise. It says no today. It says if somebody in the future wants to, they have to come and apply like anything else. I'd point up a site plan that we updated, wouldn't even allow it today, 'cause I don't think it's the parking that we had. So no one's trying to push that today, and I hope you know that. It's simply treating everyone as an owner down the road as someone would with their single family home. If somebody wanted to do something for a what if. That's really it.
what are my what ifs as a single family homeowner? But yes, ma'am, sorry, I wasn't looking, I was thinking.
No worries, I'm, fireman, my husband and I will be having one unit. So one of the things that we're doing at our stage in life is we've been doing, estate planning and all of those things. And I mentioned before, we have 4 children. So one of the things that we think very carefully about the what ifs that you're talking about, and my husband doesn't like when I talk about this stuff, but I've been a social worker for 37 years, worked at Bellin Hospital, Unity Hospice, and we're not promised tomorrow. I always tell them we have today, and God willing, we have tomorrow. So I think in terms of the kids, I see in the hospital 2 things, power attorney for healthcare, everybody should have one as a gift to give your family, and also planning. So what if, and I'm partially responsible for some of this stuff, but so what if we're not here 3 years from now? We have 4 kids, leaving our stuff to them. Well, what if they can't afford it? So at this point, like Garrett said, we're not doing the rental stuff. What if in 3 years we're not here? So what if then does my family have to sell? Or what if they could come to your committee and say, at this time in the village, how you see your vision, is it a possibility? That's my what if, our what if. So that's kind of why, we keep bringing that up. So. Like,
But selling to somebody else that doesn't have the option of turning it into an STR is also an option.
but my family loves, my daughter got married a year and a half ago, wedding was in Egg Harbor. She wanted all her guests to stay in Sister Bay. We love Sister Bay. She loves Sister Bay. They just rented a place a month ago, for her husband and my granddaughter. They do it a couple of weeks a year. Our other daughter loves it. Why can't we leave it to them? But what if they can't afford it? Can they just come before you and say, is this a possibility? That's the part that I'm not quite understanding. We could, they might, if you don't allow that, they would be forced to sell possibly. I mean, you don't know, you know what I mean? So that's the one, like, the confusing part for me, and I'm just gonna be honest, I don't do these meetings, but I don't get why they can't maybe come at a certain point, like, we're not asking for it, we're asking for maybe an opportunity.
If
Does
we
that make
don't,
sense?
if we don't disallow it now in this development agreement, your family would have every right to, if your home, would it be a condominium homeowners association they would have between the 4 units?
Yes.
And if your bylaws stated that, they could be rented out, then that's all that, then it would be a done deal. It would, you would fill out the paperwork, as long as the paperwork was, in order, you would be able to rent it out. After they were built, after you had occupancy, after you, filled out the forms. And so I guess from a plan commission perspective, and in knowing the problems, we are hiring a new person just for over $100,000 a year, which the STR owners are paying for because we upped their fee from $500 to $1,500 to pay for this new position, because that is pretty much all our administrator does, is deal with complaints from neighbors. It's a problem. We don't like them. The state legislature years ago, when Scott Walker was governor, they allowed it and constricted our determining what was best for our own community. Where some communities, they can limit it to a certain percentage and say, once you hit that, that's it. We have no control, basically, over what happens and what we think is in the best interest of Sister Bay. So this is the one tool that we have.
But it's still a tool in how we're proposing it. I think that's the nice compromise here.
I don't understand how this is a compromise, and I guess the thing that, what I'm thinking here is, we're looking for the what ifs for the village's perspective. And there's a gentleman from the 19th century I've referred to a few times, Phineas Gage. Whenever we go to make a legal agreement, I presume that what happened to Phineas Gage, he had a steel rod shot through his head, became a drastically different human being than he was before that, survived for 20 years past that. But you have these agreements because you go into that presumption. We don't know who the next owner of the property is going to be. So that's how we have to look at the what ifs from the village's perspective.
But couldn't you still say, like, no?
Not really.
No, no, we have no
No.
control over that. That's what the legislature took away from communities in Wisconsin. And that's why we have the problem that we do.
Well, let me see if I'm understanding it correctly. You're saying, if you say that we have a, down the road, 3 years, 5 years, 12 years from now, someone comes before you and says, can we do short-term rental? You can't say no.
Correct.
That's interesting.
Mhm.
But you have ordinances and provisions that they need to meet for that, correct? I mean,
And,
like I
and there,
said, are
nothing
safety
is,
checks.
nothing is so drastic that people can't meet them. They may complain about the fee or not like this or not like something, but there's nothing about your brand new project that's
That's,
that would hinder you in any way, like somebody at one of our meetings said that they were upset that they had to asphalt their driveway because it was a gravel driveway. Well, yours is asphalt, you know, so there's not anything that,
I'd say in our particular circumstance, again, right now, we're not even, like, it wouldn't even by site design meet code. Again, what we're trying to show
what do you
here
mean,
is
how?
that I think on-site parking is one of the regulations that's often been talked about. But the way that we have
Oh,
it,
right.
it doesn't even do that. I think the point is, again, if there's a point in the future where, again, the what ifs, can that be up for that person, the burden's on that person? Again, we can't stress enough, we're not doing this, we're not asking for it today, we're not. It's simply looking at down the road unknowns that someone may need, quite frankly, and want to ask to be approved.
And the challenge is we either do this now or we can never do it again. I mean, like, this is the fork in the road for us. I understand what you're saying, but this is the time we can do this or not. We can't really do the things you're talking about later on. I understand what you're saying. Yes, there might have to be, maybe not all of the units meet code for parking, but some of them are going to. So that's how I'm seeing it, is we've got a decision to make today. And also, this is rather late to throw this in here. I appreciate it. And I don't think you want to rent this out, but I also look at the person that's coming after you and the person that's coming after them, because we don't know who that's gonna be. We don't know if that's gonna be some sort of massive multinational corporation that's completely soulless that wants to strip Sister Bay of its identity. Good luck doing that, but still, we don't know who that
Somebody
is.
didn't actually do that.
We,
I mean, because people are weird, but.
every time we've had the development agreement presented to us, we've always addressed that component of it. So I know with Julie, every time,
And every time I've
That-
said, you realize you cannot have a short-term rental there.
well, and not just because that, well, you're springing it upon us, it's been addressed at every point, like, because we don't want to mislead. The other thing is being a part of the community. My girlfriend, hopefully fiance, is going to be staffing that new medical facility. So like, we're investing in this area. She's worked at Al Johnson's growing up, like, we're not, this is just complying with everything, like not locking it down. And you saw how my kids behaved at that last meeting for 3 hours. Like, I mean, not as that, oh, that is a direct reflection on how we handle ourselves and how we do that. So it's,
You know, we had somebody else wanted to buy your property last year.
Mhm.
And they came before us and they wanted to and we were like, you cannot have short-term rentals there. And they wanted short-term rentals and they tried rezoning it. And we said, no, you know, that property is not suited. We do not want short-term rentals there. And that guy went away. And so, you know, to say to him, no, you cannot do it, but then to tell the next person they can.
I think we
That
proved
puts us in a
ourselves
box,
roughly over a year or two. Because who are we, and quite frankly, given that it's 4 of us, to whom would we
and the
ever
village,
sell a unit and want to be comfortable with, knowing that
Yeah.
this would not be.
But we do see how.
the village ordinance has changed too then, like when that was applied, R2 was not allowed for short-term rentals. So that changed was over the summer,
Yes.
because I mean, we started this a year ago and like, it was just. Like I said, we're not trying to strike that line, we're just trying to say, in the future, if someone wants to, and they comply with the rules and regulations, can they apply?
Are you guys willing to forego your whole project because of that one woman?
I don't know. I think it's a nice project. We think it adds a lot to the village. We really do. That's, you know, a lot of discussion here, Julie, as we've talked about between, you know, attorneys looking at things and proposing things, but there's something to be said again for just future options of not knowing what ifs. But I promise you again here, all of us, this is about us. This is about being good neighbors. We mean that.
and not to belabor the point, but it's not about you. It's about the people that come after you. And that's really what you're talking about, taking an encumbrance off of those people. We don't know who those people are. Anything you may, you're gonna have some selection because you're a little bit of reservation on who you pick to be there, because they're gonna be in close proximity to you. But we don't know what those what ifs are, just like you don't know those what ifs are. We don't know what those what ifs are. And I'm just personally not comfortable with that.
I don't know what happened, but I was scrolling in my packet to see what the parking, layout was. All of a sudden I had a purple screen and it said locked. I have a black screen now with a battery on it.
Instead, it's the charge.
So I can share mine with you.
So pertaining to,
Here's the site plan, Denise and that.
would help if I looked under R2, not B2. So what do we say for parking? Maximum of 4 cars,
Maximum of 4.
and they each have a 2-car garage, right? So then they'd also have the parking in front of the garage, so they would meet parking.
You can't rent more than 3 rooms. If I remember right. Like more than 3 rooms, and I forget how many, are there like 5 bedrooms in between it? 4? Plus the bonus rooms if they get converted.
I will, I've got 5 kids, so we need a TV room.
So what we'd really have to, we'd have to look at the STR ordinance and the application, because it really doesn't specify anything in the code. Other than that they are permitted by ordinance 2023-004.
And this property doesn't meet qualifications to even be a short-term rental. I mean, what are we gonna do? Have them barricade some of the rooms? The development agreement is written that if the codes change, they abide by the new code. So if the codes change, that it would allow. At that point, they would be able to apply for the license, because that part of our development agreement.
Even if it's explicitly stated in there, with the new ordinance would take precedence over what's written in the development agreement?
I believe it was written, yes.
And so what are you saying, that only 3 bedrooms can be rented?
Yeah, the code, if I remember right, that we just passed says only 3 rooms can be rented, in a short-term rental. Right?
Is it 3 bedrooms?
I think it's 3 bedrooms. Can I have your code? I should have bought mine.
But that's what I'm trying to find, and I don't know where in the code.
I do.
It's in chapter 18, isn't it?
Right, I don't think it's in chapter 66.
It's in here. Okay.
Or is it under definitions?
Definitions,
Okay.
so. I'm sorry, that's R1, R3, CS1 restricts it to maximum of 3 persons per legally permitted bedroom.
Right, it's 3 people per bedroom. I didn't think
Yeah,
that we
that's-
did.
That's a different zoning
Bedrooms.
district. In no case shall more than 4 bedrooms be rented unless more bedrooms are authorized by the plan commission. Any property licensed under 18 as a short-term rental after July 1, which was not previously licensed, or for which a short-term rental license was suspended or revoked, can only be rented just 2 periods of time in a consecutive 7-day period, and each period shall be a minimum of 2 nights. With respect to short-term rentals in the R2 district, if the short-term rental takes place in a condominium, the rental thereof shall only be permissible if the rental is authorized by a development agreement or if the homeowners association or condominium bylaws allow such rental. So the development agreement is your only tool basically to regulate it in an R2 district. Which is why we have not, which is why the development agreements have become so controversial. I think we just have to decide, I mean, Garrett, I did let you know early on this was gonna be a problem. I said, look, you know, this is, are you willing to give up your whole project because of this? Because all along it was a family project and well, we may want it. And I think it's come down to this could determine whether your project gets approved or not. And I think you guys have to decide, is that worth it? Renting it on a short-term basis, is that worth it? Or do you want to proceed with the project?
No one is saying again that there's any contemplation of doing that anytime soon. It's as Pam mentioned, but what is down the road? And that's why, you know, Julie, I respectfully put the question back to the committee, is there not faith in us in the design of this project, know what it could, all the good that it could deliver.
We're putting this in development agreement, this gives us a lot of latitude as far as maybe there's some sort of middle ground that we. I don't know if it's an absolute, if it's a black and white, either we're gonna permit STRs in the future or permit STRs or we're not going to. Is there any middle ground? Because of this, it's not something we face before.
That's why we tried to utilize the wording that we did, because it's like, we're not applying for that, but in the future, if we wanted to apply. And we comply with what you would like, or the next person does.
Or what's in place at that time.
Yeah, what's in place at that time. You know, because one way we've been doing is just trying to strike it entirely, and we didn't think that was going to be. That wasn't the right compromise.
Now, I will say this, you can rent it long-term, so if they do get in that financial bind, they can rent the property out long-term. There's nothing to prevent them from doing that, so if that truly is a concern to them, they can certainly rent it for 30 days or more at a time. It's an option.
And I think all of our meetings over this last year. I think we were impressed when you first came in. I think we've had good dialogue. I'm a person who doesn't like people too much. And I think you're a good group of people, easy to talk with. Solve challenges with. So I believe you. I'll say that on the record. But how many times this plan commission has been burned trying to be helpful, to be understanding, and no good deed goes unpunished, and it's happened time and time and time again.
I don't blame you for feeling that way, really, I don't. Because I get it. We do,
So-
and I appreciate the comments earlier, we really do, that's why we said we're trying to find some sort of middle ground here that everybody can be comfortable with.
Still come back to this, it's not a reflection on you, it's a reflection on whoever that next person's gonna be. you just said you're gonna own it, well then, you know, I believe you, but at the same point, that doesn't do you any good because. What you're asking for is for that next unknown.
We understand that part too. Again, if there's different language that you all have in mind for all ears, what we tried to present there was trying to find that safeguard down the road. If there's additional language in there or different. Something that you're thinking of that we're not, again, we're all ears.
So how? If there's a compromise to make. What is a true compromise? One building. Would not, could be rented out and one building could not? Or is it one unit out of the 4? What? I know it's a mess. I'm talking out loud, Ron.
Yes, I know, but you know my feelings about all this. I mean, if it. You stick to what you have. I mean, why are we compromising? You're just letting yourself in for something that you shouldn't.
We hope, I think.
Because
my
I was
answer-
trying to be out of there,
You're trying to be nice.
which doesn't happen very often, just so y'all know.
If I could suggest again, the example of Pam showed, if we really ultimately would like the units to stay within the 4 of us ultimately, in a situation happened where somebody couldn't afford, I know what you're saying, Denise, they probably could rent it, maybe longer term. Will that cover a mortgage payment? I don't know, but I mean, the reality is, we talked about last time. When we first started these, we hoped, probably naively at the time, that we could build 1 unit for 450,000-ish. So 900 for a building. You know, that,
Oh, that ship sailed.
no, that's what, that was the Columbus 1492 across the ocean. So in all reality, if in Pam's example, if Andy's sister couldn't afford the building, I don't know that renting it for 30 days would cover a mortgage payment. I really don't.
And we wouldn't be leaving out any Andy, we've talked about this, I asked all our kids to write down what they would like, and since he would have his side, it is my daughter, they're moving to the Green Bay area, and they do love it up here, and, I mean, you guys, not that you care about any of that, but as far as when you're saying who's gonna have it, I do believe they would do everything they could to own that, and that's why they wouldn't want to sell it, get rid of it, because they, well, their whole wedding party, you know, stayed in and about the Sister Bay area and not, because this is one of their favorite places, but.
I don't want to inform that compromise, but I thought it was a question that's worth asking. To see if there was something there, it's something we've not really considered, because we haven't had that option in the past.
It doesn't, keep in mind that it doesn't meet code, but if the code changes, it may in the future.
What doesn't meet code?
They wouldn't be able to rent it anyway, like Garrett said with the parking. The way it's set up right now, they wouldn't be able to rent it. It's kind of a non-issue, really.
But no, because they can only have 4 cars anyway, and they can fit 4 cars.
The way we have our driveway, and I don't have it in front of me, forgive me, but I think the driveway width is only 26 feet or something like that. Like, I don't think you could not have cars parked on the garage the way that we have it. When we had the old plan where you had 2 driveways, you had 2 turnarounds, hypothetically you could. But with one driveway and what do you do the other side? Well, right, I mean, you'd have to have a car somehow parallel parked, it's not convenient, it's not.
Well, I'm just thinking, because you can't park on the road, right? That doesn't work.
Well, again, if this gives any comfort, no, like, again, things that we're thinking on the fly here, it's not even a plan for you to design it, how we're like, no.
To keep things moving on, can we maybe at least agree to the plans?
Yeah,
Site
landscaping
plan.
looks great.
So at least. Here's the.
We're gonna hear that, something for now, Denise.
Sure, go ahead, Janelle.
Okay, that the plan commission approves the revised site plan, the utility plan, the grading and erosion control plan, the landscaping plan, the lighting plan, and the building elevation drawings and floor plans for the two duplexes Garrett Bader and his associates would like to construct on the property off of Sister Bluff Drive that is located one lot north of 2428 South Bay Shore Drive, on the condition that the bonus rooms above the garages in 2 of the units shall not be converted to living space and may not be used for sleeping purposes unless and until the plan commission has granted the required permissions.
We okay with the plans?
I was waiting for somebody to,
I'll make a motion. I'll make that
motion
motion.
by Bell,
Second.
second by Kane. All those in favor respond with an aye. Aye, opposed, carried.
Okay, so then, and we're okay with those 2 minor amendments, the typos, right? And nothing else, so I think what it really comes down to is that one addition they added to the development agreement. Which is number I.
If they have to have a homeowners association. And they would have to approve that in the future. If they wanted to, if it's not in the original docs. It can be amended, as they often are, you know, throughout the life of a project. Is it just too messy to say that they could, 1 out of the 4 units could be rented? Just too messy, okay. So somebody had said earlier, somebody's gonna be doing some, working at what, the clinic here, the medical clinic here in Sister Bay?
Yeah, she's a dermatologist, so I think they're staffing the clinic. First Friday of every month, starting with whatever, December 2nd. Or,
So the 2 of you will live up here year round?
no, my girlfriend and her medical office is gonna be staffing for dermatology and plastic surgery
Okay.
needs in here.
Okay,
So her MD has a house up here already. And then just being that they're up here so frequently in the summer, she's like, it'd be great if we could help. Started talking to whoever the medical director is up here and offer their services, because it seems like a lot of people have to travel to Green Bay for plastic and dermatology needs. So now they're bringing it up here at least 1 day a month. Just in seeing how that goes. But I think so far, the first 3 months, they're booked solid already. And it was just announced last week.
so everybody's just gonna use it as a second home, or 3rd or 4th?
That's our interpretation. Yeah, that's our plan. And then Megan will stay there assuming it's built.
Something's wrong with that computer.
And as far as our family, our kids take their computers and can work from anywhere, so. I do believe our adult kids will.
Yeah, I think they were up here for a month or 2 during COVID already.
They were.
Hi, guys. I'm gonna be here all night.
Um. Could we add verbiage to the development agreement? That states that at this time, that no STRs are allowed. If in the future the homeowner association would like that option, they could come back to plan commission and request to have that conversation, which may or may not amend the original development agreement. We also don't know what the future will bring. We do not know what if the rules will get looser or stricter. We have no idea how much more mess our legislature will do.
So that's different than a typical development agreement, because most development agreements don't have that ability for the plan commission to open things back up.
And it's only that one. So that gives,
I like that better than
Yeah.
a compromise.
I think that is a compromise, though.
Yeah, well, it is a compromise, but I like it better than just stating that,
right,
you know, 1 unit or so.
but it just takes me sometimes to think it through,
I'm
So
good.
everybody feels,
I would go for that.
this,
Absolutely, that's the flexibility, I think, that we're looking for, and hopefully the safeguards that. we build that. That'd be good.
there we have it.
Keep in mind, if it doesn't meet code, it cannot get a license.
Yeah.
Right, so you'd have to add that, provided it meets code.
Right.
Cause you don't want somebody picking it up thinking they're guaranteed, as long as their HOA is okay with it, they're guaranteed it, because
Well, no,
if
because
it doesn't meet code, they still can't get approved.
right, and just because at a possible future date, just because we open it up to have a conversation, it is also not a guarantee if they meet code or whatever, that we will want to amend the development agreement at that time. Right?
Only thing else I wonder is, do we want to say if it's a unanimous agreement by the homeowners association? Do we really want to deal with, if, just say there's 1 out of the 4 that don't want to do it, we don't want to put ourselves in the middle of that.
We've got 3 of the 4 right here, so you're gonna.
Well, sure, but in the future, you don't know who that 4th is gonna be.
Yeah, it's true.
That,
Yeah, honestly, I think that's a safeguard for us too.
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay.
Yeah. I think you hope, you know, to Pam's other point, you hope that they never come to where we are selling these, but if you do, A, I think we hopefully find the right person. But B, it's nice having a safeguard like that, saying, I don't want any one person to dictate what we may not want to do either.
So it would say, at this time, the property is not approved for use as a short-term rental. All rental stays shall be in excess of 30 days. However, if in the future, the homeowners association requests approval to operate a short-term rental, it
unanimously requests.
unanimously, it may be reviewed by the plan commission.
I think that should say will be reviewed, but the plan commission. does.
No, how about maybe, provided it meets code? Because if it doesn't meet code, I'm not bringing it to the plan commission. Do you only want to repeat that?
Well, I don't. I can't find that. Want me to play the tape back?
Okay,
How would I do that?
at this time, the property is not approved for use as a short-term rental. All rental stays shall be in excess of 30 days. If in the future, the homeowners association unanimously requests approval to operate a short-term rental, it may be reviewed by the plan commission, provided it meets code.
Right, because code changes all the time.
Gotcha.
And then do we also have to say something, add an additional sentence that a review or amending of it, or the discussion or the reopening of that conversation does not constitute
A guarantee of its approval.
a guarantee of its approval? didn't say that very eloquently, but
Nothing in this. Line or nothing in this agreement shall. Guarantee approval by the planning commission.
something like that.
Review of this does not constitute a guarantee of approval by planning commission.
Future review. Yeah. And this is not on the board agenda for tomorrow,
It
right?
is,
So you're gonna have to come up with that new wording, or are we
Yes.
gonna push it to December 12th?
no, I'd rather keep them moving along.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll all see it, well, except Ron and Laurel. Nate and I will see the revised tomorrow. Well, I might not be here at the meeting tomorrow night, but, no, we'll have the proper wording. And that at least you'll have Nate there, if not me, to make sure that Julie's words were what we talked about. Okay. So the typos, the addition of that. And then, well,
I'll make that motion.
I don't know if I had any, I don't know what other notes I had in my, because my battery was not charging.
I'll bring mine at the time. Get you set up with that, because I haven't used mine out of here. No, because she's got power lines, so that can tell her that there's power making me feel it.
Yeah.
It's just, if the battery, it's possible that the battery could be shot.
Okay. So is there a motion to recommend to the village board?
I need the motion,
Oh,
who wants
no.
to second it?
All right, sorry.
I'll
Motion by
second it.
Bell, second by her. All those in favor respond with an eye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. See you tomorrow night.
Seriously, thank you all. I know it's a thorny issue. I apologize to whoever's behind us. But thank you. I thought it's good dialogue. We appreciate it.
Thank you for your time, thanks.
Okay. I know, but all my notes are in it. No, it's on the packet that I
What if
saved.
you shut it off and turn it on again?
I tried holding the button. I mean, is there any other way to do a forced shutdown?
Hold it down and wait till you see the display go totally off dark.
Well, that's what I was trying to do. Seven C,
Oh, there you go.
oh, there it goes, preliminary review conditional use permit. 2 12-unit apartment buildings, Glen Lane, Premier Fieldcrest, Sister Bay.
Okay, so this is a project that, usually we do a review before it gets scheduled for public hearing. This is the second time we're reviewing it before it goes to public hearing. We did have some, things we wanted Premier Real Estate to address. We had wanted to see a second access to the property to Highway 42. And, they did put that on the site plan. Joel did get a hold of me today to explain that the DOT has said that's a non-conforming access point. We are not allowing any improvements or allowing them to access on the non-conforming access point. I think you're still waiting for something final on that, right, Joel? But at this point, it looks like they will not approve it. But they did
Yeah,
give you temporary construction access. Is that correct?
Well, we didn't ask, but we can ask for temporary, the point is, or their point is, it's roughly like 100 feet wide. The existing one, and they're limited to 35 is what his email said,
Yeah.
so it's already 3+ times bigger than they allow.
And we limit it to 35 feet too. I'm guessing that all happened way back when that got developed, but
So what are you saying? We can't have Highway 42 access?
the state is saying they cannot have Highway 42 access because it's a non-conforming driveway. I have not talked to Mr. Nielsen.
And how do
but,
we make it conforming?
Well, to conform with our code, we would make those driveways not exceed 35 feet, because right now it's just a mass of asphalt. I'm not sure what the DOT would do though, because it's a highway 40, it's a highway 42 access point. I mean, our code says you're 35, for a commercial development, it's 35 feet max. I don't care if you're on a county highway, a state highway, or a village road, you know, it's 35 feet. I don't know how the state deals with that, though. The state is telling them it's non-conforming. I actually have their email here. The state said,
Who
They're
was
saying it's
the
100?
state guy? Was it Jared?
no, it's Dave Nielsen.
They're saying it's 100 feet, that driveway?
So Dave is saying, he says, I did, and this is, Joel forwarded this to me from Dave Nielsen. And Dave is somebody who we deal with normally routinely with DOT, so he's very quite familiar with our property. I did get a chance to look at this. One issue is that I cannot issue or deny permits that are not signed by the owner of the property. The bigger issue is that the current driveway onto 42 is considered non-conforming due to the width. The maximum width of a driveway I can issue is 35 feet. Based upon that, I would not be able to issue a new state highway connection permit over a non-conforming driveway.
So the big wide entrance that went into Shopco and the gas station.
And he's saying,
And how did that ever get? How did that get built?
that's a good question. I think that's way what was, did that predate zoning? I don't know how long ago.
No. No, that did not predate
No,
zoning.
that had been approved by the state at the time. Because that driveway didn't exist until Chris built that building and the gas
Right,
station.
so we need to pull the property files on the mobile gas station and the Chris property. Check to see if there's anything in there. Because I cannot in good faith allow all this traffic to go out to Fieldcrest when everybody complains that lives over there already. And now you're going to have 50 more cars. If there's 2 cars to a unit. 24 units.
You know, there might have been an entrance because of the quarry back there. It might have been an old entrance. Because they had to get to the quarry
Right,
somehow.
they had to get to the quarry. I say we do some research in those property files, see what we can find. Because even so, even if there was the entrance, it still was. Would not have been as wide as it is and have gone off. On the angle that it did to go to the Chris building.
Right.
You know, it would have been going more back. So
Somewhere there.
somebody did something wrong. Somebody gave approval at the DOT. And nobody remembers or wants to fess up to that, or rules were different, but I doubt that with state highways.
So I'll check in.
Or it just got built and nobody caught it, and then I think we need to rectify it.
Okay, so I'll check on that part. The other thing is we had wanted them to put a sidewalk path or trail over to our proposed.
Our existing,
trail.
not proposal, one that exists.
I'm not aware of a trail on that property. Nate.
I'm saying on 42, it's going to connect to 42, so that trail is by 42. I'm saying there should be some. At least an easement provided for that.
So if you look at the site plan, they did exactly what we asked, and they put that sidewalk over to our easement that's there for a trail.
I'm not,
I think your trail and Nate's trail are different.
Yeah,
I was talking about the one that's on 42 that exists today.
yeah, that's not what we had asked. We had talked about our easement that runs parallel with their access to Highway 42 that turns at their property. That's what we had talked about at the last meeting. And they put that sidewalk easement going over to that property.
What page is that on and where does it show that?
C 2.1.
I need a
One.
115?
They're all messed up.
What was it?
No, that's CO1.
I see those numbers.
C21?
118.
So even if you look at C 0.1,
Okay, so it's 118.
Yeah,
so if we're all on. If just go to 115, you'll see it. It's this right here.
Yeah, it shows it on there.
Yeah, that is going to the path out here.
So it's connecting to the easement that then goes out to 42.
Right, he's connecting to the easement, which is what we asked him to do. So he's showing, he's going over to our easement.
So what I'm saying is the end result is it connects to that trail on 42. It's just a matter of it goes, I understand what you're saying now.
Yeah, we didn't ask him to build a path up to meet with the Highway 42 path. We asked him to connect over to our easement that would.
Is
someday
that what
be a
this
trail.
is
Yes,
on 118?
yes,
And so then this is the trail,
the easement for the trail.
easement for the trail.
So they did that, and then we asked them to put in a playground, and Joel got back and said, we don't have that many kids. And Joel, I think you know my opinion on that, you don't, but you could. But they did it anyway, and it's on page 126 of your packet, just a small clear that they have proposed, between the buildings. And we asked for more trees and we said not in a straight row, so they did revise it. They added trees around the south, they added trees along the west. They took the trees along the north and instead of being in a straight line, they made them alter in zigzag.
Well, because, and that's one of my pet peeves from years and years ago. People would plant just a straight line. And if you zigzag the trees can get bigger themselves, create a larger visual barrier, grow bigger, grow better, instead of. So thank you.
Yeah, and they probably just put those straight across the last one because that's what we approved last time. But they did do what we asked on this. And then location of the propane tanks, they have opted to bury them. And they're gonna landscape around the hatches. So that is shown on the plan as well. The only other concern I had that I talked to Joel is just, again, the construction debris.
Yes.
And he said they would be putting a construction dumpster there. And, if this moves forward and we issue a development agreement, their development agreement would carry that same condition we talked about tonight for Wolf Brothers, which is they just have to be responsible for that.
Well, 'cause
Or,
a lot of construction dumpsters don't have lids, because they're
Yeah.
huge.
and this is a property we have had complaints about where the garbage had blown around, previously before I got here. But, so that is something he's aware is something that would be a problem. So bottom line is they did what we have asked of them. I think it should move forward to a conditional use permit. And in the meantime, staff will keep researching that access issue. I don't want to hold this up any longer than we have to because we need the housing. And I think we need to have parallel tracks going on this project.
I don't disagree with you. And I wouldn't want dealing with the DOT and our research to hold anything up, but I want to keep that option open until we resolve whether or not we can fix that, get that entrance down to 35 feet, find out what really happened, who's to blame, who's gonna fix it.
And by the time we have a public hearing, we'll have time that we can keep digging into it, so.
So the couple questions that I had is, your whole entire site is almost 13 acres. This is phase 2 with 2 more buildings. Is there a phase 3?
Not at this time.
No, but will there be?
I don't know. If there would be, it would be, obviously the one blank
right?
spot, if you will. But they haven't mentioned it to me previously when we did the first phase, and I don't know if that ever got disseminated, but it was sent to the village at time. These two buildings were shown at
Right.
one, at one time,
Right.
but we've never done anything down in this lower corner.
Well, because with. Aren't we 6 units per acre? 13 acres. I don't think you can build anymore. Plus, we gave them. We overrid the density for phase one.
I'd have to go back, you know, they're, yeah, so they're B1. And I did write them about that originally, that they, if I remember right, their density is okay right now, but they are, what was this later? But I think they are up against their cap, so I think if they did anything in the future, they would need special waivers. I have to go back, it was like in an earlier email to them.
While you're looking at, my next question is approximately how big is the playground area? 15 by 15, 20 by 20?
It's shown on L 1.1, it's roughly like 30 by 30.
Oh, it's that big. Okay.
Yeah, the place that we have included in there, I didn't bring the actual dimensions, I think it's like 20 by 20 or something, so I wanted to give them a little bit of room, so we're calling for having like railroad ties around the edges and, you know, mulch in between, bark mulch and then that playground, so, you know, they'd have room, so if you got your fell off something, wouldn't be, you know, landing in the dirt.
You may want to consider, because communities and playgrounds have stopped using mulch. And they're using rubber
Okay,
that looks like bark. Have no idea what the cost is, but it's certainly, you have to replace the bark periodically, and the rubber is softer, so that's where things have been going for a while. I just wanted to throw that out there. So yeah, because they would be 6 buildings times 12 units is 72 units, 13 acres times 6 units is 78 units. I can't remember if we gave them 6 additional units
So
in
this
the
is,
first.
yeah, this
phase.
is what I have, maximum density is 6 units per acre, both phase 1 and 2 together will house 72 units, so density is okay, but you cannot build another 12-unit building for possible future phase unless you secure special approval. And Scott Herrig from Mach 4, who's with the same company as Joel was copied, wrote back and said, no plans for additional buildings. And I wrote back and said, okay.
Just wanted to double check on the density.
So they're at max unless they get waivers.
Okay. And you did show him the map that was presented in November 2017 that's in our packet. So when we were talking about the driveway was in a different place, you now understand what we were referencing.
I don't remember sharing that, but there was something.
Not the one on Fieldcrest, the internally.
Yeah, and I think what that was an older version, like we went to the original conditional use, because there was a lot of discussion after the initial presentation. In fact, I think the village actually participated in helping extend water was the big one, with the water loop. And so part of that was the configuration changed to what, you know, what we're showing is existing now.
Okay.
And then, that's what was actually submitted and approved by the, you know, the village engineer and stuff, as far as like the storm water, because the pond was probably a slightly different spot, but where it was built was for the approval drawing. But I think what you had in your packet might have been like an earlier conceptual one that went through a couple of evolutions when, we had to run the water up through that property to the south and then connect into the
Okay.
water on field grass.
I think what happened was that plan was from the development agreement, that's what the board approved. And I think that staff that was here at the time,
Made a mistake?
allowed revisions without bringing it back to court. It's not Joel's fault.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't think we ever, if I remember it, we just went through like the steps we are now, and then the rest of it was worked through with the village staff and like the fire
oh,
department.
brilliant.
I was only up here in 1 or 2 meetings.
No wonder you're a little surprised then.
Yeah, it's like totally different processes.
Yeah, no, this is the process.
Different process last time.
So yeah, I think all looks great. I think we leave everything open on trying to get access to 42, resolving that issue. But can move forward.
Okay.
So what kind of motion, motion to go to public hearing,
Forwarded to public hearing, yeah.
motion by Berto,
I have one thing I wanna say that Joel said last time, I didn't comment on it, which I would have. And that was, you're talking about the rather circuitous route through the apartment buildings, how that actually is safer. That is something that I emphatically agree with, and I know you thought there was, people are going to find, but that is far safer to make people slow down.
oh, yes, I realize that,
Okay,
I realize that.
I just had to, I wanted, I've been thinking about that since last month, and I wanted
Oh.
to say that.
No, it's just that the people in the two buildings have to meander through the whole complex when it just, first of all, we have a problem with Fieldcrest and traffic. But it just makes more sense for the whole complex to have two ways to access.
The Fieldcrest issue I get, I guess I just wanted to make sure that I voiced my support for those
Sure.
meandering circuitous routes through there that make everything safer.
Okay.
I'll
Alright.
second.
Motion by Berto, second by Bell. Any further discussion?
Do you want that at the December meeting? Or
Yes,
January.
yeah, because no, I can get the public hearing. It's already drafted, it'll go in December.
Okay.
We have time to get it in December.
And that's our early December 12th, early meeting also. Okay, because of the holidays.
Because it's different, can you explain what the process?
Yeah,
should have
so,
been? What
yeah,
it is
so
now?
so what we do is staff reviews it, and as you know, I'm like, hey, we're gonna have a problem with this, and you make the changes, we come up with it, and then once you and I agree on something that meets code, then it goes to the plan commission for site plan review. Well, it's a conditional use permit, so what they do is they review it ahead of time before it goes to hearing, so that at the hearing, you're not blindsided with all their concerns. We try to have something that everybody can agree upon and then put it out for public comment. So that's where we're at now. Now it'll go for public comment. After that, I will have a development agreement ready for them for the next meeting. So if that public hearing goes good, and if they don't have any big changes or anything, they'll at least have a draft development agreement to review. They may recommend that goes to the board that night. They may say, no, we want to see more changes to it. That development agreement then goes to the board. And the board is the one who would approve or don't.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know that the board's ever not approved a development agreement from this commission. I don't want to say, they're bobbleheads or a stamp of approval, but that's never happened before.
I think for the most part, they've been trusting the work that the plan commission has done. And of course, there's fees, so I'll keep working with you on the fees and when you pay the fees.
So all those in favor respond with an aye.
Uh,
Aye. Opposed? Carried. Okay, thanks. See you next month. Agenda item number 8, next regular meeting, Tuesday, December 12th, 5:30.
I want to remind you guys, we're gonna kind of have the same, the night before, we have our joint court meeting. We agreed months ago, we would have that joint outdoor rec meeting the night before. So you're gonna have 2 meetings in a row December 11th and 12th, yeah.
Do the 11th at 5:30.
We have a meeting before.
On the court. The meeting,
Okay.
so the day before, Ron. So when we met, oh, hold on, no, you don't.
No,
No, you don't. I'm sorry. I'm
that's-
sorry.
the board does.
Yeah, no, the 11th is a joint
4:30 to 7:30.
outdoor recreation transportation committee meeting jointly with the Parks Committee, not planning. So I'm
So
sorry.
there's no plan on that.
So planning would just meet the 12th that week.
So
Some
Denise
of
thought
you-
it'll be there.
Some of you will be meeting.
Can
We had to be there on the 11th. But that's what we said last week. I put it in my calendar,
I didn't know which,
but that's okay.
I have to go back to the minutes, I'll be honest with you. I thought
Okay.
it was just.
Okay, so it's outdoor rec,
On the 11th.
parks,
Parks is the 4th, outdoor, the court meeting is December 11th,
that's the joint meeting,
is
The
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 11th.
11th. And who's all involved in that?
I thought it was just, outdoor rec and parks.
previous one was outdoor rec, parks and play.
Yeah.
It was,
I don't think so, Ron and Marge weren't there.
we had it at the village hall.
Yeah, I got there at 5:30.
Patrice was there,
I was there.
Ron was there, yeah, it was all three of us.
We'll check the minutes, if plan commission is supposed to be there, we'll send
You
that.
can show up
Okay.
if you just want to, and if you have it written in pen, we'd love to have you.
White out.
And then the 12th, of course, would be, plan commission, the 19th is the board.
In January, can we take a breath?
January, we have, one of our special meetings is on the presentation of the housing plan. We also agreed to have a Saturday land use meeting where the public comes in and comments on our land use map.
I just checked, okay, outdoor rec was a joint meeting in July, on July 18th to 22nd. It was, plan commission, parks, and ad hoc outdoor recreation.
That's why you have it on the 11th then, because it was
Okay.
planning.
Okay. 2022, no, we just met at the village hall a few
Yeah,
months
it was
ago.
October.
Okay, maybe I wasn't here.
I don't remember who was there. Here we go.
It was like the 2nd or the 9th.
All right, January, you said is land use,
January, we have the housing plan and land use. Those are special meetings.
and is the housings. What date, I just want to make sure,
The housing one, I think is I want to say, one's the 27th,
Yes.
that's the housing, Saturday, the
Saturday.
27th.
yeah, and then the land use one,
I've got it on the 13th.
that sounds about right.
That's also Saturday.
Yeah, according to the minutes.
So informational purposes, not necessarily committee is,
Correct.
Do
it'd be
we,
nice to attend, but if,
but do we need to declare it as a meeting in case we get a quorum so that we can?
I don't, I have to check with Sydney too, because what happened is Nicole left Bay Lake. So she did, yeah, so Sydney is, I think, gonna be doing both of them at the same time. So I have to check with her schedule.
and to make sure that the schedule still fits.
Where are these gonna be at the village hall?
Here.
Here, okay.
All right. Okay, I don't think we can put it on the agenda, for the 12th, but I guess I just want staff to deal with, the slap in the face from the Door Hotel and not removing the signage.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Let's have a
I
conversation
want
after this.
citations. So, okay, nothing else? Motion to adjourn would be in order at 7:44. Motion by Kane,
Second.
Second by her, all in favor, respond with an aye. Aye. Oh, carried. Thank you, everyone.
You all left.
I don't blame them.
Quick question, you have everything